I'm interviewing John Kirk because it happens that people ask John constantly, and actually people have started to ask me, how the heck does John Kirk do what he does? And this is coming from a knowledge of John and his family life that understands that they're expecting their 10th kid. So congratulations, it's fantastic. Yeah. You guys are amazing. Mary Lou, you're amazing. And that as a result of that, your life is pretty darn full, right? Yeah. You've got a lot going on. So I wanted to get some of your life hacks. So you're dad of a large family, relatively young guy still, and doing great in business. And I've had the real honor of having you alongside me in this business for a number of years now. So I've gotten a little bit of this, the up close and personal of John Kirk and Mary Lou and their family, and how you balance all of that, and how you also have a really great, fulfilling, productive work life as well. So I wanted to just throw that out there. And I know you get this question because you've told me before. What do people, where are they coming from? Is it usually a critical, hey, what do you think you're doing? Or do you think people are actually, genuinely amazed?
I think people are genuinely amazed at, our fortune to have a big family. And I think people are genuinely interested in how do we do it?
Yeah.
And I have a number of sort of canned responses to that. But the one I use most often is, I don't really know how we do it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it takes so much to make our lives
There's not one
happen.
thing that here's the gold nugget that makes it all possible.
And I remember just as a kid coming out of college, or even working all the way through my late grade school years into high school, I would always ask people, how did you get to where you are?
Yeah.
Right? I had this sort of thing that I always, how do you do what you do?
Yeah.
And I was just always, as that person, expect somebody to give me the golden nugget.
Yeah.
But I never got the golden nugget. Work hard, kid. Like there's that kind of thing. But for me, I mean, I think it begins, mostly with a stable home, right? Like the stability of the home life allows me to work. So if we're talking about like, how is it possible for me to be successful at work? My work is a real priority for me because my home life is actually really great.
Yeah.
So the stability of the home allows me the freedom to work and to work well and at a really high level. So
well, and you've told me this before. In not so many words, the efficacy of your job directly translates into your home life, right? Sure. Obviously, if you're not doing well professionally, you've got a lot of mouths to feed. You've got, so there's this balance and reliance of your family on what you do professionally. Mm-hmm. So you have to go out there and do it really, really well, and a reliance that is not a priority over family life as well.
No, I think the best example of giving fully to the family is that working really, really hard and diligently at work to be able to provide for the family. The other thing I think that really adds a lot to our family existence is really to concentrate on the fact that we do have dinner every night together.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so what are some of those anchors on a daily basis? And so every night you guys have sit-down family dinner, everybody's around the table.
Sit-down family dinner every night. And I often talk about this because when we bought our house 7 years ago, actually you represented us to buy that property.
I remember that, yeah.
So we bought this house and we got a really great tip from another big family, and they were saying, don't get a really long table, right? Get a circular table, like if you're at a wedding. And, most people when they go to a wedding, they're sitting at a table where there's 4 couples, right? Or 5 couples of 10. So we have a 10-person table that we sort of squeeze some other people.
Yeah, because there's some littler people that like
two can sit on one chair.
Exactly, double buckle them type thing.
Yeah. So that I think is a real key to our life. It's a real key to my work life too, because it is. when we're around the table, we can all see each other.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, pass the thing all the way down to the kid on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end.
you slide it all the way down.
The kid at the end is falling off.
Yeah.
No, everybody's engaged.
Yeah.
And that was a really great tip for us, and it's something that has really gone a long way, in our family. So yeah.
That's a great, discreet, very, very clear, because it's at that dinner table that you're seeing how this specific kid is doing, and you're able to ask him about his or her day and that sort of thing. You're also probably gauging your wife's stress by who she sits next to and who's giving her the most problems and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, that's awesome. What else? Over the course of another day, I mean, let's say I'm just starting my career, and maybe I'm just getting married, and I'm trying to figure out, what is this going to look like? Fast forward 20 years from now, what other sort of big family life hack, killing it in business type thing would you give to that person? What should they be doing themselves on a daily basis, or even a weekly basis?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great question. I mean, if you were to ask me, 17 years ago, how many kids are you going to have? Like, I would have never said 10.
Yeah.
I probably would have never said 5, and I don't know if we're going to have any.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a real key point, is that
this didn't happen all at once.
It didn't happen all at once. I think that's one of the real graces about family. Like, you're prepared.
Yeah.
You're prepared for this. It doesn't just happen overnight that you have 10.
Incrementally preparing yourself, stretching yourself, getting better at communication with your wife, and just being a great team there.
Yeah, and I think so that's kind of a really big component of it, because you just don't go from 0 to 10. Most people don't. I mean, you can go adopt 10 kids, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, you don't go from 0 to 10. And so the overwhelming thing, and I think people ask me this a lot, like, this must be so overwhelming, right? And it's really not. And I think if for us, we've had the circumstance of having 2 kids like under 3, for example, right? Yeah. And that's crazy, right? Because they don't know, they can't do anything for themselves. But then shortly after that, 4, 5, 6, like, they know where their shoes are. Yeah. Right. Well, until they get to be teenagers, then they don't know where their shoes are at all. But
they steal your shoes.
That's true. That's happening now. But so once they can kind of like dress themselves and communicate back to you, it actually automatically gets easier. Yeah. And the younger ones actually start to be protected and helped along by the older ones. Yeah. As the family grows.
So talk to me, obviously on the family side, I've always admired your parenting style and your patience with your kids, and it really, I haven't interviewed your kids yet, but you seem to be pretty darn good at it.
I wonder what they would say about the patience part.
But just as a dad, somebody who looks, and I've watched you. At the same time, talk to me about how it is that you instill the confidence. You've just met a family to help put their house on the market, right? To work for them. They find out you've got all of this perceived craziness in your life, right? Yeah. And you've managed it. You're doing a great job. Your kids are well adjusted. It's awesome, right? So you've got that under control. How do you communicate that you as a client are prioritized?
Yeah. That's a great question, because I think that could come up, right?
Sure.
A client could go,
that may be in the back of their head. Maybe they're not bold enough to say it, but how do you tell people that you're my priority?
Yeah, I think my track record in business speaks for itself. Okay. When I talk with people, I think it's very clear that they know that I am in business, and they know that I'm on my game in a big way, and that's. It's not something I address necessarily directly, but it is something like in my demeanor and how I communicate and how I present to people. Yeah. Like, there's almost no.
There's no way for them to think otherwise.
There's no way for them to think otherwise. At least that's my goal. Yeah. Because, frankly, to run this kind of enterprise really at home, you've got to be really organized. You've got to have every I dotted and T crossed every single day. I mean, think about, even from our perspective, we have 6 kids in school. We're getting 6 kids off to school every morning, right?
Sure, and it's not around the corner.
No, yeah. So what does it take to actually do that? So the systems that we have in place, the things that we do every day to be able to make everything happen, is probably a result of my business sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because my business sense is everything has to be systematic and organized.
Yeah,
and,
you're scheduling, time blocking. You're having an
question.
executive meeting with Mary Lou to make sure that everybody gets to where they need to go. That the food gets in the door in order to to fuel the kids. And there's a lot of ops there.
I was just going to say, like, so my business sense, it definitely impacts my family life. And my family life, though, also really impacts my business sense. So
you're running a big business.
Yeah, it really is a big
there's
business.
a lot
and
of
there's
lot
two
of
big
lives.
businesses there.
Yeah.
Right. The real estate business is big, right?
Yeah.
It is, and there's a lot going on, and it's really, we've been very fortunate to do really well, right, together, right? We've done a great thing here, but also the enterprise of the family is huge.
Awesome. So I want to wrap it up. We touched on schedule a little bit. That I think could be just in and of itself, just another time that we could get together on things. Talk to me really quick. If you could give one piece of advice to parents who are trying to teach their kids how to become great professionals, what's that one piece? You've got kids that are getting to that point. What are you coaching them on?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had an example of my kid becoming a great professional. Unfortunately, my oldest is a junior in high school. But
what are you gleaning? You're in that process of learning that yourself.
Yeah. So exactly, and some of it is trial and error.
Yeah.
And part of it is that you're a parent, and there's no real rule book, right? And so no roadmap in a lot of ways. So just to say that outright, I don't have all the answers for sure.
Yeah, but no family's the exact same. So.
Yeah. So and I think that's a really good point, because every kid also is different.
Yeah.
And by the way, every client is different. Every home is different. Everything that so it's not about a one size fits all. Like here's what you do every single time.
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to knowing the kid really well. And it sounds kind of silly, like you wouldn't know your own kid. But today, you might, who knows, right?
Yeah.
You want to be in a situation where you really know and understand your kid, so you can make really good recommendations. So, from what they're reading and what you can encourage them to read, to what they're watching on TV, or what movies they're going to see, or who their role models are.
Yeah.
Right. And encouraging them to really seek out. I know my kids have spoken with you, right? And so like having really good people in your parental network that you can refer your kids to, I think is actually really a neat.
Yeah, we do that with businesses all the time. Hey, you should talk to this other great professional. They have the same struggles, or they've mastered this. Go there, and I love that as a way to think about parenting as well.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's been a really big benefit, to have a really good peer network that our kids can actually talk with, and your kids can do it, right? Your kids can actually talk to adults. Right.
Well, and they're actually interested, and especially as they get older, they're interested in, well, how did that person get to where they're going? They're asking the same questions that you were asking as a young professional as well.
Yeah, they are.
They're kids are wildly curious.
Yeah.
So putting them in, exposing them to the right people at those junctures in their life is just, it's all about who you hang out with, on a professional level and on a, as a kid too.
Yeah, I do. So I think that would be my answer. My answer would be, like, as a parent, have yourself surrounded by really great people. Like, if you're talking about educating them for business, have a really great peer network of other business leaders that you can say, hey, can you call your friend up? Hey, can you have my kid over to your office for half an hour or an hour, and have lunch with them or something like that. That's a really great thing to be able to do for your son or your daughter.
Awesome. John, thank you. This is great. So we've talked networks of to help you with your kids, and it's more than just you nuclearly as a family, but extending that out. Gosh, the enrichment that a professional gets by investing into a kid is just amazing as well. Yeah. We've touched on calendar and just some ideas behind big rock things to do. I love the point about family dinner. So it's possible. John, it's a great example of me as a dad and as a business professional. And just thought I'd share a little bit of that. Go a little bit deeper into who this guy is that you're hearing from on a weekly basis.
Sure.
Thanks everybody for watching. John, thanks,
Thanks, man. That was really great.
a lot of fun.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.